he got immunity. Why did he need immunity? Why did he need a pardon in advance?
What do you think the answer is?
I would be speculating, but I think he was vulnerable. I think he had a lot of liability on creating the coronavirus. He was funding precisely that research at the Wuhan lab.
Yep.
And he was giving them the technology. He was giving them, he gave them not only the technology, the precise technology for developing that pathogen.
So it sounds like Fauci is beyond the reach of the law at this point.
Yeah. I think generally, unless there was a truth commission, which they did, as you know, in South Africa.
Yes.
They did it in Central America after the 1980s wars there, and they were very, very helpful to those societies. And, I think we should probably do something like that now. And in those cases, what happens is you have a commission that hears testimony on what exactly happened. Anybody who comes and volunteers to testify truthfully is then given immunity from prosecution. But so that at least the public knows who did what.
Yes.
And people who are called and don't take that deal and perjure themselves, they then can be prosecuted criminally. What you would do if you wanted to find the answer, which is to compare outcomes in a fully vaccinated group to health outcomes in an unvaccinated group. And CDC did that study in 1999. They brought in a team of scientists under a Belgian researcher named Thomas Verstraeten, and they looked at the data. They looked at children who had received the hepatitis vaccine within the first 30 days of life, and compared those children to children who had received the vaccine later or not at all. And they found an 135% elevated risk of autism among the vaccinated children. And it shocked them. They kept the study secret, and they manipulated it through 5 different iterations to try to bury the link. And, we know how they did it. They got rid of all the older children, essentially, and just had younger children who were too young to be diagnosed. And they stratified the data, and they did a lot of other tricks. And all of those studies were the subject of that kind of trickery. You'll see this on every mainstream. Anderson, Cooper, Jake, Tapper, all of these guys say again and again that the link between autism and vaccines has been debunked, right? It's been studied. But those studies that I was talking about earlier, the epidemiological studies, they only looked at one vaccine, the MMR, and one ingredient, thimerosal. None of the vaccines that are administered to children during the first 6 months of life have ever been studied for autism. In fact, the Institute of Medicine said that they looked at this issue, has it been debunked? And they said, no, these studies have never been done on the vaccines that are the most likely culprit, which is, DTaP, Hep B, the pneumococcal, the vaccines given in the first 6 months, none of them. He said the only one that has ever been studied is DTaP, which is diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. And they said that the one study that was done showed that, there was a link with autism, but we're not going to count that study because it was based on the VAERS system, which is CDC's only surveillance system. And they said that system is too unreliable. So what they were saying, the Institute of Medicine, which is part of the National Academy of Sciences, said that the only system that CDC has to study vaccine injury is so bad that any study done on it we're not going to count.